What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. Messed up and out of touch, let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. I was sitting here just not real long before the show, less than an hour before the show. And I didn't have it scheduled yet or anything, and I thought, oh, I better get busy on that. I've had my head in the website I'm building pretty much of the day. Every time that I build a website, either there are a lot of things that change, or it's just simply that I've forgotten how I did stuff before, so I got to figure it back out again. And that's especially so when you're just adapting or modifying the stock template that comes with the website, which is how I'm doing it, because I prefer to do that now. Because when you start using themes from third parties, you start running into all kinds of other conflicts and all that. So now I kind of prefer to stick with the stock theme and just alter it using what they call overrides, using a custom CSS file. But anywho, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I was sitting here thinking, what am I going to do the show on? And then the thought hit me in the back of the head. And I'm probably not going to spend a long time on it. In fact, I'm probably not going to spend a long time on the show tonight. I'm going to talk about this. I've only got like a few articles up that I'm going to speak to. Then I'll read the headlines and get the heck out of here. I was correct. Today we were loaded with headlines. However, a lot of it's pretty much the same old kind of stuff. I don't want to normalize it. But at the same time, a lot of it's stuff that we've been used to hearing, and it's just all par for the course kind of stuff. So more to the subject at hand. I have been blessed my entire life on an incredible level. And the sad part of that is I did not realize that really, and I didn't appreciate it, and I certainly didn't know how. It just didn't make any sense to me, and it's part of my life. I'm just me. But I've always been able to learn things quickly. I've always been able to adapt, to modify, and for some crazy reason, even a lot of the really dumb things, a lot of the stupid things that I had done, it turned out okay. And there was one thing I've mentioned a few times before on the show, just because it's funny. Years ago, I had a 1978 LTD2. I had it when I was in high school. Believe me, this relates. And my best friend in high school had a set of rims, a set of mag rims that I really liked. And well, I like the tires mostly on the rims. The rims are okay, but I really like the tires that were on them. There's just one problem. Those rims were for a Chevy, not a Ford. Well, they were the kind of rims that they have they're not slots, that they weren't the slotted lugs, but there was a washer that you had to put in there as well. And they were those style of rims. I don't know exactly what they call those, but they certainly weren't the Unilug rims. They were Chevy rims. And so I'm out there, outside with my car jacked up. My dad walks out, looks at me, "What are you doing, boy?" And I was putting the lug nuts on the lugs, just, about halfway, not halfway down the whole thing, but the nut itself was about halfway threaded on to the lug. And I was taking a hammer, and I was tapping out the lugs. I was literally bending the lugs out so that I could get those rims up on there. And my dad goes, "You're going to lose a wheel." I was as bullheaded as it got. And I managed to get, I only had 2 rims. I didn't have a full set of 4. I managed to get the rims on the back of the car, including the little washers that, again, were meant for the Chevy. And I got them all tightened up. And Dad's shaking his head the entire time. You're going to lose a rim. Going to lose a rim. I drove that car for close to a year and never lost a rim. Never. And while I thought it was a funny point to jab at my dad with, I really didn't realize the chance that I was taking at the time. Now, I do. Now I understand why Dad was saying, you're going to lose a rim. But I didn't. And considering how dumb of an idea that was, and considering what certainly could have happened, it's a wonder why I didn't lose a rim. It's a wonder why I didn't get hurt or hurt somebody else, especially how stupid I was behind the wheel, because I was absolutely stupid behind the wheel. I was a good driver. That was the problem. I was a good driver. There are many instances throughout my youth that I could say I should not be here at all. I was driving, I had a Pinto. I wished I still had the pictures of that thing. I love that car. I had a Pinto, and the same kid I bought the rims off of, me and him were coming back from a party. And I had just gotten a new JVC head unit for the car. I was into the, BC stereo systems and stuff. I had just gotten a new JVC head unit for the car, and it was when they first started making it to where you could change the color of the lights. And so we're on what they call the Grand Fork curves, heading back to Highland. It's a series of curves that, unfortunately, many people have lost their lives on. And those curves are always a driving challenge for me, and, well, for him as well. And we're flying down the road going around these curves. Well, he's sitting there pushing the light button to change the color of the light on the head unit as fast as he could. Just, I don't know. One of those things you do when you're out on country roads getting high. Well, we were heading back to Highland, and he started doing that, and I looked down, and we were going around the curves. Now, we weren't going a stupid speed or anything like that. Definitely faster than what was posted, definitely faster than what's recommended, but not as fast as I normally took them. And my right wheels just fell off the edge of the road. Just a little bit, no big deal. And all I did was bump the wheel to the left to try to hop back up onto the road. Well, somehow it caught my wheel just right, or just wrong, however you want to look at it. And we were doing 360s on a curve. And I couldn't tell you how many 360s we did, 3 or 4 at least. When we stopped, his side, the passenger side, was up against the embankment on the other side of the road. And we were fine. Other than we just had the crap totally scared out of us. And that's another time that I look at and it's like, I don't know how the hell we made it through that. I mean, you gotta understand, for one, I had that car lowered. I lowered the car because I thought it looked cool. I put mag wheels on it, lowered the car. The wheels on it had wider tires than were stock on a Pinto. How I didn't roll that car is beyond me. But I didn't. And there's been numerous things when it comes to events where I shouldn't be here that I somehow made it through. including a couple of times that were intentional things that I definitely shouldn't have made it through. And then when my appendix exploded, it exploded on a Friday night. I didn't get it removed. I didn't, go and stay in the hospital until Monday. I should not be here. But all through my life, I've had nudges. And for those that don't know, I was pretty much atheist for a majority of my life. I wasn't interested. I looked at what I knew of the church and what the church said, and I knew that didn't necessarily jive with what the word in that book said. And so I kind of just cast it all away. But throughout my entire life, I've had these nudges. And especially in the area of learning. And it never made any sense. Never made a lick of sense. Because the type of learning and the topics of learning that I was nudged to go towards didn't add up. They didn't make sense. I mean, we're talking everything from cars, working on cars, to computers, building websites. I mean, it's stupid. The amount of different things that I've learned throughout the years, and a lot of them just don't go together, not even close. But now, in hindsight, sitting here at 51 years old, and looking back and thinking of it in a sense of being blessed, I see exactly what went on. I was being prepared. And I think the Father is so wise. He knew that when I was younger, I was so bullheaded that there was no way that I was going to turn His direction. So He just gave me little nuggets. One of those nuggets was a friend of mine that I had met in the junior high. Name was Eric Driesner. I've mentioned him before. And Eric was a very spiritual person. He was probably the most honest person that I've ever known in my life. He was incredible. We were two totally different individuals, but for some reason, God has put us in each other's paths. And, I got little tidbits when it came to the Father. Like, there was like a church sleepover that I went to one time with him, and I would have never did that if it wouldn't have been for him and for him inviting me. I would have never did that. Unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 21. On the sidewalk of where he went to school at, he was going to school to be a pastor. And he passed away of a heart attack. Not nobody, but his friends didn't know about his heart condition because he never told us about his heart. We never knew. But at the age of 21, he passed away. I've mentioned this before on the show because this was a bigger wake-up call than I even think I realized at the time. I've told this story before. On the day that Eric passed away, there was something I had to do to my car before I could go to work, and I don't honestly remember what it was. But my parents were gone. I told them that when, they were going to be gone. I told them, when you get back, wake me up. I worked it either in the evenings or overnight. I can't remember. I couldn't even tell you what job it was, to be honest. But I remember I told them to wake me up when they got home so I could get out there, get the car taken care of so I could have the vehicle for work. So they did so. They woke me up when they got home. I went straight out to my car, started working on it. And within moments, my mom's screaming out the door that my bedroom's on fire. So I rushed in. By the time I could even get inside, Dad pretty well had it completely dealt with. He immediately got a bucket of water and doused it out. Well, the scientific, if you will, cause of that fire was a heater cord that he had replaced, just a space heater. And that cord had shorted out, and that's what technically caused the fire. They were on it really quick, and it's not like it burned my room down or anything like that, not at all. But there was, I lost a pair of shoes. Of course, the carpet was burned where the heater was sitting. And there was a chair in there that was burned. It had to be thrown out. But there was only one thing that was just completely destroyed. And I mean, it was completely wiped out. Only one thing. Not even the chair it was sitting on was completely... I mean, it was burnt bad enough it had to be thrown away. Howdy, much tested. The only thing that was completely destroyed from that fire was my guitar. And you may wonder, well, what's that have anything to do with this? Eric always told me how blessed I was and how much of a talent I had for playing, and that God gave me that. That was a gift to me from God. And that I should use that guitar, use that gift to glorify Him. And I'm going to be honest, I pretty much just blew it off every time he said it. That fire in my bedroom happened at the very time that Eric passed away. And so I will for always be convinced that that was Eric, and that was him telling me one last time that I should use that for the Father. And, you know, I didn't. I'm going to be honest, I didn't. But, all throughout my life, God has had a presence. And for the majority of my life, He didn't let me know who He was, right? He just pushed me in a direction and let me do the rest. And once I finally woke up, if you will, and realized what was going on, I had started learning to let Him lead, especially when I have really zeroed on that He's putting me in a direction. I let Him lead. And He will constantly give me little tidbits. I'll give you an example as far as the Watchman News is concerned. I'm not really an artsy kind of person. Just not. Especially when it comes to actual creation of any type of art, I'm not that good. Well, when he had given me the nudge, more like a shove, to do this show, one of the things I knew I had to do was come up with some kind of a logo. And so I sat down and, well, I've had the same logo since we've started, the Crown of Thorns. And to me, that logo turned out incredible. And I have never really been that artsy. But I took several different images of different things that I got from the internet. I didn't draw that myself. but the crown of thorns was like a tribal type of crown of thorns that I found. And then the little banner thing with the earth in it, that was from a news, what they call the lower third, for a news show, and then I put in the lettering, and I took out the T and I put in a cross for the T. But I think it turned out incredible. And anything that he had ever nudged me to do has worked out. What I am doing now in our local community, I am not just being nudged, I am being absolutely shoved. And I couldn't be any more blessed. And it is also another verification for me as to just why the hell I learned so many different things throughout my life. We talk about, obviously, preparedness a lot here. And I firmly believe that he pushed me into learning a lot of the different skills that I know for preparedness, so that I can do the things that are going to need to be done. I know a lot more about law than I'll ever admit. I know a lot more about constitutionality than I'll ever admit. There are reasons why I'm being shoved to do this here locally. There's also reasons why I should probably fear sticking my head up like this. But I don't. Because I listen to God. 100%. When he tells me to do something, I don't bat an eye, I just do it. And I appreciate all of the patience that he has had with me throughout my entire life. In my eyes, I should have been kicked to the curb by him a long time ago. But he's wiser than that. He's wiser than what we can even imagine, even come close to imagining. And that is why it is ultimately important that if the Father speaks to you, just do it. Just listen. Even if it makes absolutely no sense to you at all, just listen. Someday it will. It'll all come together. He told me years ago to start telling certain individuals, and when I say years ago, I'm talking going back a couple of decades, to start telling people the tables are going to turn. Now, I don't know why he told me to start saying that, or I didn't know then, but now it's becoming very clear. And I am glad that I listened to him on those things. I wish there was a lot more that I would listen to him for, or on. But such is life. And again, I'm just grateful that he hasn't kicked me to the curb. That he's had the patience, the mercy. I don't know if he's got the understanding, because, man, I've done some dumb stuff. But he hasn't kicked me to the curb. And that's pretty incredible. He won't kick you to the curb either. But you have to reach out for him. And most importantly, you have to shut yourself up and listen to him. I think that's probably one of the harder things for people to do. I was only able to do it on the level that I can because I got so mad at myself. I was so sick of myself for screwing everything up so bad that I literally gave him the wheel. Not just as a figure of speech. I gave him the wheel. Okay, you control this, because I like the ditches way too much. Always listen to God. He will steer you in the right direction, even if it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Let me get this news article out real quick, and then we'll get started on the news. Again, I didn't really intend to even spend that much time on what I had to say, but I let him lead, and that's how it goes. So, I spent a fair part of the day, like I had said on the website, and I'm really excited about how far I've gotten it. And I'm even the most excited about the new banner that I made for it. And I couldn't resist, and that was a nudge from the Father. And I'm going to tell you straight out, that was a nudge from the Father. So let me show you where we've got it. Last night's monologue, if you will, I clipped it out. As you saw, it's up on YouTube. I clipped it out and I put it up on the site on the homepage so local folks can hear it. And of course, I've still got the webpage under construction deal because, well, it is. And I've just started populating the calendar. This is what I'm going to be spending much of tomorrow doing. I've got a PDF file that has got a ton of events on it. And I plan on adding the important ones of those events to the calendar here for the folks here in town. And then I want to make sure that I find out when anything related to voting is, when anybody's, like, when the board seats are coming up and stuff like that. And I want to really bring focus to those events because that is where the gold is. So, again, I'm working on it. Of course, I had to add a little page about preparedness to where I talk about preparedness, and I provided some of the videos from Suspicious Observers. One of them he put on his page today. If you have not seen that, make sure you watch it. It's titled Pole Shift Disaster is Coming, Military Paper. Very, very good video. I highly urge you to watch it. And of course, this is his disaster video, Earth disaster video, and his solar micronova video. And then I left a link to his YouTube channel. And anyway, so I wanted to make sure to put something about preparedness there because it's important. Oh, thank you. Thank you much, Tested. Very much. Again, I know when the Father's doing stuff because he just puts stuff together. I'm not Mr. Artsy, Mr. Creative kind of guy. And when something looks good and it just turns out and looks like it should, that's not me. That is not me. But the banner is gold. Our school sports teams are called Bulldogs, and we're the Highland Bulldogs. And so I could not resist putting the tagline underneath the Highland Patriots, "You should have let sleeping bulldogs lie." And I think that fits perfect for what the situation is. I think that absolutely fits perfect. So, anyway, again, tomorrow I'm going to have my day cut out for me, just adding tons of stuff to this calendar here, which goes deeper into adding the locations. I mean, it's a really cool little calendar extension. Like this is one of the board meetings. They're currently having them at the Highland Area Senior Center is where they're currently having them. So I've got to change some of the fields because these are wrong. That should be state and zip, which I'll fix that tomorrow. But anyway, it's got a cool little map. It's really, really cool. And so I'll be fine-tuning the calendar stuff tomorrow, as well as getting the calendar populated with events. But it's cool. It is really, really cool. It is getting there, and I'm looking very forward to where we can take it. So anyway, do what you can. As I've said a million times, if you see a need, fill it. And I don't know why the hell I learned so many different weird things, but it's starting to make a whole lot of sense, I can tell you that. Anyway, let me move on to news. The heck? Oh. Have a sip of coffee. Somebody's beeping. It's so nice. Still got the window open. Even though it says on the computer it's 55 degrees out there. Feels nice to me. I'm sitting here drinking coffee in my living room, so. Okay. So this went on, and I had heard, I'd heard about it. I got notifications on my phone about it, but I didn't look into it, didn't pay attention to it. And honestly, what caught my attention with it was Prepper Dog. He did a video, and I never did even get to finish the video. Because it was not real long before the show, and I thought, while I'm setting up stuff, getting web pages open and all that stuff for the show, I'll listen to Prepper Dog's video. Well, I kicked his video on and probably didn't even get a full minute or so into it, and he mentioned this incident that happened near Hazelwood, Missouri, which is not real far from us. And so he mentioned a video on his video, so that's when I paused his video to go find the video that he mentioned, and which I did. And I'm not going to play it here for multiple reasons, one of them being I really have no interest in seeing it again. I watched it through twice. I'm good. I don't need to see that anymore. It was a video of two teenage girls fighting, and it wound up several teenage kids fighting. But the main focus of what happened was one of the girls involved in the fight was taken down really hard, and she slammed her head pretty good when she was taken down. I think at that point, though, she was still okay. I think it probably hurt a hell of a lot. But the other girl had gotten over the top of her and, was punching, and that's one thing. But then she grabbed the girl's head and started slamming it into the concrete street. And I mean, she was doing so as absolutely hard as she could. And that young lady is now in critical condition in the hospital. It's disturbing. And it's probably one of the reasons it disturbs me so much. In my younger days, I was very passive. I did anything and everything I could to walk away from a fight. And that was the very reason why. And I wasn't worried about somebody doing that to me. I was worried about doing that to somebody else. Because my off switch when I was younger was pretty non-existent. And it was like a switch. I'd been in fights. I know how they turned out. I can't ever say I really lost one. Literally, the most I've ever lost a fight was having the wind knocked out of me in grade school. And then that turned around years later. And in, I don't know, I guess I was probably either right out of high school or just at the end of high school, one of the two. And I've mentioned this story briefly before, but I was in our local Hardee's with a guy I went to school with. And my girlfriend at the time worked there. And she was actually working. And the guy I was with was starting to get a little stupid with his girlfriend. And I was getting ready to deal with the issue. I mean, I was right there getting ready to deal with the issue. And before I could, a guy that I had went to high school with came in through the door, busting through the doors. And I mean, I can't necessarily say tore him up, because he just slapped him, and he more or less bitch slapped him a bunch of times. But definitely made his point, put the kid down. But then he turned on me. Now, this is the same kid in grade school that punched me in the stomach and knocked the wind out of me. And so then he approached me. He took a shot, I blocked it. Took a shot, I blocked it. Took a third shot, I blocked it. And then I stepped up. Hey, man, 3 strikes, you're out. It's my turn. Well, I can't say necessarily that it was because I stepped up that he ran out the door, or if it was the fact that we heard the cops coming at that time. And, it was one or the other, or maybe both. I don't know. I don't want to say that it was because I stepped up. But I was about to tear him a new asshole, and he has no idea the ass kicking he had coming. No idea. And he was actually known for one of the big badasses, as being one of the big badasses in town. Well, I don't know what to say about we're not from here. My family's not from here. We moved here when I was 5 years old. But some of us Callahans you don't want to fuck with. Pardon the language. Some of us you don't want to mess with. We'll tear you a new one. I'm one of those. And that's why I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight. I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that to other people. I have no interest in that. I'd rather walk away. And I've always been that way. But this is insane. What these youngsters are doing is far beyond. I know stuff like this has happened for a long time. And the big difference is now there's means and methods that people are recording it and putting it in places to where it can get widely disseminated. It's crazy, though. It's crazy. Please pray for the young woman that's in the hospital. Please. Again, I don't want to see that video again. But I can tell you by the sound, that young girl is in trouble. And I could tell you by what her body was doing immediately after the girl slammed her head into the road. I could tell you just from that alone that there was some serious damage done. Please pray for the young woman. I don't have a name to give you because she's a minor and they're not giving that out at this time. Alright, I've got a couple of articles up. That's it. And we'll do headlines and we'll run out the back door. Russia, China, and Iran launch joint naval exercise. Says ships of the Russian, Chinese, and Iranian navies are holding a joint exercise in the Arabian Sea this week, staging from the port of Chabahar in the Gulf of Oman. The war games, dubbed Maritime Security Belt, are scheduled to run between March 12 and March 15 and involve vessels and aircraft from the three countries. Envoys from the militaries of Azerbaijan, India, Kazakhstan, Oman, Pakistan, and South Africa are in attendance as observers. The practical part of the exercise will take place in the waters of the Arabian Sea, specifically the Gulf of Oman. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement on Monday, the main purpose of the maneuvers is to ensure the safety of maritime economic activities. Two ships of the Pacific Fleet, the Slava-class guided missile cruiser Varyag and Udaloy-class frigate Marshal, Shaposnikov, I can't say that, make up the Russian contingent at the exercise. According to the Chinese Defense Ministry, the People's Liberation Army Navy, the plan, has dispatched the guided missile destroyer Urumqi, the guided missile frigate Linyi, and the supply ship Dongpingyu. I don't know. I'm doing my best. The Iranian Navy is contributing several helicopters and a dozen vessels of various sizes. Maritime Security Belt began in 2019 as a joint venture between Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran. China dismissed the 2021 drills but has participated in every exercise since. During the 2023 maneuvers, the three navies practiced sailing in formation together, conducted daytime and nighttime artillery tests, and simulated freeing hostages from a ship taken by pirates and assisting a ship in distress. The exercise area is near the entrance to the Persian Gulf, where much of the world's oil deliveries originate from. On the other side of the Arabian Peninsula, off the coast of Yemen, the U.S. and its allies have deployed multiple warships in an effort to stop the Houthis from interdicting Israeli-related maritime trade. Not only have they been unsuccessful, but the Houthis have since added British and American merchant vessels to their list of targets. So, that is kind of crazy. Oh, man. Average Joe preparedness. I'm going to bring that out. He was just replying, which means he's got a video that he's putting out. Yay. I love his channel. Average Joe preparedness. It's without a doubt my favorite prepper channel on YouTube. Without a doubt. Just simply because he's just laid back and just I love how he presents himself and how he presents everything. I mean, I just love it. Anyway, yeah, that's awesome because anytime he replies to comments, he only does it like when he uploads a video. He's definitely not a quote-unquote YouTuber, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's so great. But, yeah, I definitely recommend his channel, Average Joe Preparedness. It's all together, one long word. Let's see. Great video. I'm excited about that. All right, Bitcoin hits new all-time high. Bitcoin, the world's highest valued cryptocurrency, hit a new record on Monday as it surged above $72,000. You're welcome, Much Tested. Yeah, I love his channel. I love his channel. I don't know. I know there's a lot of personality thing when it comes to that. You know, some people just like certain personalities and all that good stuff. But I don't know. I find his I just like listening to him. I just love listening to him. He's just so laid back, so calm, and so himself. I mean, he is 100% himself, and that's one of the things that I truly love. Says here the token soared to a fresh all-time high of $72,030, breaking the record set in November 2021 and bringing gains for the year so far to nearly 70% according to CoinDesk data. In 2021, Bitcoin reached $68,790 as the crypto industry boomed and amateur investors poured savings into digital coins. Analysts attribute the latest surge to cash inflows into U.S.-based spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, as well as to expectations that the Federal Reserve will soon cut interest rates. Bitcoin has started the week with a surge, dragging the rest of the cryptocurrency space higher with it, daily FX strategist Nick Colley told Reuters. ETFs allow more retail investors to hold Bitcoin indirectly via funds that trade on exchanges. Institutional investors have shown increasing interest in the biggest cryptocurrency by market value after a U.S. regulator approved crypto ETFs in January. The rally of the volatile cryptocurrency comes after its after its value plunged below $20,000 in 2022. Nearly $1.4 trillion was wiped off the crypto market in 2022 amid bankruptcies in the sector. According to Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci, who briefly worked as former U.S. President Donald Trump's communications director, the latest rally in the token is a really big breakthrough for Bitcoin as a digital asset. The financier added that it is a much broader story for digital property in general. Now, I feel like I really need to step in here and say this again. The way that we get hornswoggled into the worst deals is when they, those, them make it seem like it's our idea. And the quote-unquote conspiracy theorists have for a long time talked about the one world currency. And I'm telling you, that's what crypto is. And that it was done in a manner to get the very people that would normally be against such things to be all for it. Because look at how much of the preparedness community embraces things like Bitcoin. There's actually quite a few. And it blows my mind because the people just took a 180 from, make sure you've got precious metals, and if it's not in your hand, you don't own it, to, Bitcoin's the best thing since sliced bread. No, it's not. And while I laugh at the people that condemn others for investing in it, I'm not going to condemn somebody for investing in it for whatever reason. That's your call. I do get a giggle because there's a lot of people right now that are sitting very, very pretty because they made that investment. I still wished I knew what wallet I had my account with back when Bitcoin first took out, because I know for a fact I've got over 2 Bitcoins in there. But I don't even know which wallet it was or which email address I signed up for the wallet with. I have no idea. I've got a jet flying over. Hang on. It's a bit loud. Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess so. There you go. That is what I just heard flying. That's it right there. That's Highland right there. That's the plane, and it is a Boeing KC-135R Stratotanker. So that is what I just heard. And it is at, well, no wonder, 2,900 and, well, it's about 2,900 feet. And then 214 knots. So he's coming in for a landing at Scott, I would think Scott Air Force Base. Let me see. I don't know, unless he starts turning. Because Scott's down here. Something left out over here. Let me see what left out. Oh, that was him. I wonder what's up. Oh, wow. Okay, no, he went. That's his. He left Scott. He went all the way up north of Michigan, circled up by the Great Lakes up here, and now he's flying all the way back down, and he's going to be going to Scott to refuel. So that's what that is. I don't know what the trick flights are. I never have figured that out, but there's like trick 10 here, and it says it's a Learjet C-21A is what it says it is. There's a lot of trick flights that are in our area. I have no idea what they are, but they go in and out of Scott Air Force Base. But that is that's a KC-135R Stratotanker, a refueler. So that's what I heard just now flying over. Pretty crazy. And every once in a while we get an E-6B, you know, the Doomsday plane. We get those going in and out of Scott as well. All right. As I was saying, they're awful tricky in how they get people to do things that they would normally not do. And this whole cryptocurrency is one of those things. And that's why I just wished I knew where that wallet was, because I wouldn't play the game. I would cash out. You better believe it, whatever the heck that said that was. $72,030, I'd be cashing those coins out in a hurry. I'd be finding us a piece of property somewhere, and I would literally find us a piece of property, get me a nice, good-sized shed to start on a fairly large, tiny house. I mean, it wouldn't be a tiny, tiny house. It would be a fairly large building that I would start out with, but it would still be, I would imagine, considered a tiny house. And I would get busy. I would get get some solar in real quick. See, and I do a lot of stuff myself, so I wouldn't be relying on, you know, again, I could get a shed that that's all it was a shed. Hell, I could build it if I wanted to, just from nothing. But I'd probably start out with a built unit, and then I would put the walls in, the insulation, the walls in myself. I would do all the electrical myself, all that good stuff. I'd buy the solar panels, set that all up. I would do all the electrical myself. And I didn't say this, but I would use the 55-gallon method, septic tank method, and I would use 2 or 4, depending on what I felt I needed, 55-gallon plastic drums to make my own septic system. I didn't say that, but I would. And, you know, I would just do it all myself. So that way you could get the most bang for the buck that way. So anyway, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. There's a whole lot of people setting pretty right now. And that's a good thing. That's certainly not a bad thing. But be careful when playing with the devil, and I think that's what I think that stuff is, at least in a sense. Okay. Have a couple of drinks of coffee here. We'll do the headline. I honestly had no idea that was going to be a KC-135R. I actually thought it sounded like it was a smaller type of jet aircraft. Those aren't small. Normally they have a little bit of a deeper thrust sound to them when they're... Okay. British mercenary kills himself after returning from Ukraine, says media. Biden, a rare kind of idiot, says Medvedev. Well, he's not wrong. I mean, Trump promised to stop Ukraine cash, says Orban. UK made tank mired during Ukrainian demo for media. You know, enunciations, everything. EU country to begin impounding Russian cars. Palestinian city honors U.S. airman who set himself on fire. Kremlin comments on Pope's Ukraine plan. Russian forces repel Ukrainian incursion attempt. Hang on a second, I've got a couple of headlines up there. Let me get it those put out so they're up there when we get up there. Oh, I didn't put my watch on charge. How dare I? Oh, that's an opinion piece. I typically don't share out opinion pieces. That's kind of an opinion, but it's by Medvedev, so we'll go with it. You'll see when we get there. Hang on, let me get this watch on the charger. Oh, and my e-cigs. Fun. Totally forgot. I had remembered, but I didn't do it right when I remembered. The battery in my watch has to be going bad because I put it on the charger and it already says 100%. Pretty sure it's a bad battery. Okay. That thing, I've had it several years. That watch has been great. Okay, where were we? Germany struggling to fund defense budget, says Bild. Oh, actually I covered that. Trump has a plan to end Ukraine conflict, says Orban. Putin could win over 80% of the vote, says a poll. This is kind of like it's not, I forget, they call it a feature page. It's not really an opinion. I shared it because I thought it was really good. It's titled, I Don't Want to Be a Pawn in This Sick Game. Israel's anti-Zionist fringe is taking a stand. So I thought it was a well-written article myself. Boris Johnson secretly visited sanctioned countries, says Sunday Times, talking about Venezuela. Britain's flagship aircraft carrier catches fire en route for repairs. NATO states will break F-16 pledge to Ukraine. Apparently, they're going to get a whole lot less of them delivered. A whole lot less. Kremlin shuts down nuclear strike speculation. Putin terminates Soviet-era fishing deal with the UK. U.S. trying to disrupt Russian election, says an intelligence report. Russia producing 3 times more shells than NATO, says CNN. Musk comments on U.S. attempt to weaken Russia. UK MOD facilitated bribes to Saudi prince in arms deal, says The Guardian. Ukraine threatens serious operation against Crimea. Moscow responds to Chinese initiative on nukes. Germany could use UK to get missiles to Kiev, says foreign minister. 58% of Americans say Biden not respected by world leaders, says a survey. Pilots fell asleep mid-flight with 157 people on board, says a report. Kiev security guards sentenced for warning residents about military summonses. Poland pushes for making NATO members spend more. European arms imports double amid Ukraine conflict. EU state labels peace advocating ex-PMs a security threat. NATO should not cross red line by sending troops to Ukraine, says EU nation. Recognizing Palestinian state is a just cause, says Spanish Prime Minister. Russia's top MP calls out Western hypocrisy on Assange. Ukraine should be independent, says Stoltenberg. EU state threatens Russians for voting. Asian electronics giants plowing money into Russian advertising, says Commerçant. Hang on, that little heart thing is in the way. Oh. Well, they're not Tesla self-flying planes, but they've had self-flying planes for some time now, autopilot. If you're not aware what those autopilots can do, it's incredible, man. It is incredible. There's a, and I think it stands for Instrument Landing System, if I'm not mistaken. It's a system called ILS, and it lands the airplane. I mean, all you have to do, and in fact, I think you can turn on, some of the aircraft have what they call auto brake, where you can even turn on auto brake and it'll stop the aircraft too. So, I mean, literally, the computer system, there's computer system on the aircraft, and then there's a computer system on the ground. They communicate with one another, and it will actually bring the plane in to land. And they use it all the time, especially in bad weather and stuff, or when they can't see. It's very common for them to use ILS to land aircraft in bad conditions. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a very common thing. So I like messing with it in the flight sim. It's even simulated in the flight simulators. So Trump comments on why he didn't ban TikTok. Russian economy headed for a soft landing, says The Economist. Russia, China, and Iran launched a joint naval exercise. Russia not looking for direct clash with the West, says U.S. spies. A Ukrainian drone strikes Russian oil facility, says governor. And lastly, Macron is a coward, says Medvedev. And that be all. I don't see anything else up there. Oh, man. I can't think of anything else. I'm going to go see if Average Joe Preparedness has got his video. In fact, I'm going to go look right now. I am looking right now. Because if it's not yet, I am pretty certain it will be tonight at some point. Yeah, I don't see it yet, but it will be some point tonight. Let me get his link for you guys before I jump out of here. Copy link address. It depends, though. And those in real bad. This is his channel, by the way. That's Average Joe Preparedness. In real bad conditions and bad situations, you don't. You would rather that computer system fly that plane. It does a good job. It does a really, really good job, as long as it's not a Boeing 737. But it does a good job. And I say that only because of the issues that they had. But it's amazing how well of a job that that computer system does in landing. And sometimes, like I say, you don't want them flying. You would rather that computer be flying. So, but I know what you're saying. But don't mean to break your heart or anything. But they don't fly a lot. Most commercial airline pilots are what I call push-button pilots. And I can't say this for certain, but it's very likely policy that they use the autopilot probably most of the time. So there's a lot less mistakes made that way. So believe it or not, I get what you're saying. I won't even get in a commercial plane, but that's because of a little something called glide ratio. And I'm not interested in sitting inside of a flying rock, But ultralights I don't mind because, again, for something called glide ratio, if you lose an engine in an ultralight, it should be nothing but an inconvenience. If you lose a engine in a full-size commercial jetliner, it's probably going to be a little more than an inconvenience. So, chances are high. Anyway, I am going to get out of here and get, I can't go to bed yet. I got to wait until my E6 charge, but it won't be long from now. So I can get up tomorrow and work forever on a calendar and get it populated with different events and all of that stuff going on in town. So anyway, I hope you all have a good evening. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate you coming, and I hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.